Dr. Castillo, are there emerging approaches for treating Waldenström's?
Always. And that's the beauty. That's the second part of when we talked about clinical trials, right? We talked about clinical trials. The science continues, and we work very closely with an organization called the International Waldenström Foundation, and they support research all over the world for Waldenström. So, their message is, since the sun comes up until the sun comes down, there's somebody somewhere in the world working on Waldenström's, and that is true. So there's a lot of science in the background, and that science helps us understand how the Waldenström cells behave, and therefore we can then start targeting some things. That's how BTK inhibitors come out. That's how protein inhibitors come out. That's how BCL2 inhibitors come out. All these are results of science applied into the treatments. So, at my institution and many other institutions in the country and outside of the country, there are newer treatments being tried all the time. We're looking into combining BTK inhibitors with other agents. Germany is doing a number of different studies. Canada is doing a number of different studies. We are doing some studies in the United States as well, combining chemotherapy in PIs with the BTK inhibitors. We're doing a study, in my institution, combining BTK inhibitors with BCL2 inhibitors. So, and the idea is to try to create a more powerful agent or regimen, and hopefully maybe not give patients indefinite treatments, more like fixed duration treatments. So I think that's where it's coming. It's coming maybe, doubles, triple combinations, fixed duration treatments. That's what is coming in terms of that aspect of the research. And then we do have newer compounds, coming out. We do have now some concepts in what we call immunotherapy, right? We think about antibodies. We think about bispecific T-cell engagers, CAR T-cells. So all that is actually up and coming in Waldenström's. There are actual clinical trials being run today, evaluating all those different treatments for patients with Waldenström's. So I think the future is really bright. It's really, I'm very optimistic, to be honest with you, about the treatment of patients with Waldenström's. Obviously, what we want is cure of the disease, And again, we can think about cure in two different ways, right? We can think about the classic definition of cure, in which you treat the patients, the disease goes away, you stop treatments, and the disease never comes back, right? That's one way of looking at cure. The other way of looking at cure is you treat the disease, is in a remission, you continue treating the patients, and then the patient basically dies of other reason, right? That is a functional cure. So I think we're closer to the latter much more than the former. But the efforts to continue developing new treatments is not stopping anytime soon.
No, we're always constantly moving forward, having to find new treatments, definitely.